Good morning, students. Welcome to our online class. This is your third period, and the subject is social science. My dear students, today, through this recorded video class, I would like to continue the same geography chapter, that is chapter 8, manufacturing industries, today. Students, as you know, in the previous class we have started this chapter, and in that class we have studied what is meant by manufacturing, where manufacturing is taken place, what are the things that are needed for manufacturing, importance of manufacturing in India or any country in the world. What is the importance of manufacturing? Okay, importance of manufacturing, some points we have studied, 6 to 7 points we have studied. Now, apart from that one, you have studied what is the relations between agriculture and industry. What is the relation between agriculture and industry? How agriculture and industry both are related to each other. That also I have taught in the previous class. Now students, today in this period I am going to continue few more topics of the same chapter. I suggest all my students to listen my lecture attentively and carefully, so that you will not miss any content. Okay students? Fine. So today in this chapter 8, manufacturing industries, today we are taking up the first topic, that is contribution of industry to national economy. Contribution of industry to the national economy. That means how this industrial sector, manufacturing, how much they are contributing to our country's national income or national economy or GDP. Okay. Sorry. How much the industry is contributing to national economy, that we will read. So students, listen carefully. Over the last 2 decades, here 2 decades means what? 20 years. Over the last 2 decades, the share of manufacturing, the share of industry, the contribution of industry to the country's GDP was stagnant. Stagnant means what? Without any movement, without increasing or decreasing. Stagnant at 17% of GDP. I repeat, over the last 2 decades, the share of industry or the share of manufacturing sector has stagnated at 17% of GDP out of the total 27% for the industry, which includes 10% mining, quarrying, electricity and gas. Total 27% is our contribution in the GDP from manufacturing sector. Out of 27, 10% comprises quarrying, mining, electricity and gas. Remaining 17%, that is the production of goods and services from industry. Okay, so over the last 2 decades, the share of manufacturing sector has stagnated at 17% of GDP out of total of 27%, for which the industry, which includes 10% for mining, quarrying, electricity and gas. So when we compare the share of manufacturing sector in our GDP, it is far below, far less than the other Asian countries in this Asian continent, or I can say other East Asian countries. India is a East Asian country or South Asian country. So when we compare our contribution, our manufacturing sector contribution GDP, then ours falls very short, very less when compared with other Asian countries or other East Asian countries. In other East Asian countries, it is around about 25 to 35%. Here 27%. That too, quarrying, electricity, mining and gas, 10%. So ours is very less when compared with other East Asian countries. The contribution of manufacturing sector of India is comparatively less with other East Asian countries, where it is 25 to 35%. The trend of growth rate in manufacturing over the last decade has been around 7% per annum. In the last decade, I mean, this book belongs to 2015-16. You may have the book 2018-19. So there may be some change in the readings. In your book, in my book, there may be some change in the readings. We have to learn the latest readings only, students. Remember carefully. If I'm reading any reading, if I tell about any reading in this textbook, if it is more than this one, that you have to follow. It depends upon the edition of the book, which year it was published. So what I want to say, the trend of growth rate in manufacturing over the last decade has been around 7% per annum. So in the last decade, the growth rate of industrial sector is 7% or manufacturing sector is 7%. Fine. The desired, I mean, what you expected, the desired growth rate over the next decade, we are expecting 12%. In the last decade, it was 7%, for example. And what we are desiring in the coming decade, that is around 12%. Since 2003, manufacturing is once again growing at the rate of 9 to 10%. From 2003 onwards, the manufacturing rate growth is between 9 to 12%, or sorry, 9 to 10%. Fine. 9 to 10% per annum. With appropriate policy interventions by the government and new efforts by the industry to improve productivity, economists predict the manufacturing can achieve its goal target over next decade. By seeing the present trend, the economists, they guess that whatever target we expected in the coming years, the 12%, the present is what 9 to 10% average, previous one 7%, previous decade. So and our target is what 12%. So by seeing the present trend, we can guess, we can predict that in future we can achieve our target 12%. This was said by the economists in India. Now one important abbreviation you should remember here, please note down in the textbook, that is the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council. The National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council, NMCC. The National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council, NMCC. This has been set up with this objective only. Which objective? To achieve the desired target of manufacturing sector in the GDP. So in order to achieve the target of 12%, the NMCC, National Manufacturing Competitors Council, has been set up in India. Now coming to another important topic, that is industrial location. Industrial location. Students, one question will be asked to you. The question is like this: what are the favorable factors? What are the favorable factors that are necessary for the location of an industry? What are the favorable factors that are necessary for the location of industry? Or where an industry is located, which place it is located, or what are the ideal factors, what are the ideal factors that are necessary for the location of industry? Like that the question will be asked. What are the factors that are responsible for the location of industry? What are the ideal factors or conditions where the industry can be located? Like this the question will be asked. So students, there are several factors. There are several factors that are responsible for the location of an industry. There are several factors that are responsible for the location of industry. Among all factors, number one, availability of raw materials. Availability of raw materials, first factor. Or availability of cheap and abundant raw materials. Second one, nearest to the marketing center. Nearest to the marketing center. Third one, availability of transport facilities. Fourth one, availability of power, cheap power. Fifth one, here availability of skilled and unskilled labor, cheap skilled and unskilled labor, availability of cheap skilled and unskilled labor. Next one, availability of the credit facilities, banking facilities to take the loan and to start the industries. Next one, availability of export and import facilities. Availability of export and import facilities. These are some of the factors that are necessary for the location of industry. Once again I repeat, availability of cheap and abundant raw materials, nearness to the marketing centers, availability of cheap transport facilities, availability of export and import facilities, availability of cheap idle power or cheap power to run the industries, availability of cheap skilled and unskilled labor, availability of the credit facilities or banking facilities. So these are some of the factors. 78 factors are there. Now, wherever these factors are available, there only an entrepreneur or an organizer will take risk to establish an industry. Otherwise, no. You may have here one doubt, sir, do all these factors will be available at any at a place where the industry can be set up? No. Suppose for example, out of 10 factors, at least 6 to 7 factors, if they are available, you can easily set up the industry. All factors may not be available. At least 60 to 70%, if the factors are available there or the necessary conditions are available, then you can set up the industry there. Fine. Now, so industrial location, or I guess industrial locations are complex in nature. These are influenced by availability of raw materials, I told you, labor, capital, power, market, etc. So these are the factors he gave here. What? Availability of raw materials, availability of labor, availability of capital, money facilities, that is credit facilities, power, marketing facilities. If these facilities are, these are complex factors. If these are available, then the location of industry is easy at any place. But it is rarely possible to find all these factors available at one place. Just now I told you, all the factors may not be available at one place. That's why I told you, maximum factors out of 100%, at least 60 to 70% of factors, if they're available, then you can easily set up an industry. Consequently, manufacturing activity tends to locate at the most appropriate place where all the factors of industrial location are either available or can be arranged at lower cost. If the factors are available, fine, very good. If 2-3 factors are not available there, and if you are able to arrange them at what lower cost, suppose out of 100% of what factors, 60 to 70% of factors are available there, and 30 to 40% of factors are not available. And if those 30 to 40 factors or necessary things, if you can arrange at a cheaper cost, lower cost, then you can easily set up an industry at that place. After an industrial activity starts, wherever an industry starts, then what will happen? In that place, urbanization will start. What is urbanization? Here, two things. Urbanization is what? The migration of people from rural areas to urban areas. The shifting of people from rural areas to urban areas. The question here arises, why the rural people will migrate, will shift, will have mobility from rural areas to urban areas? Very simple. For better standard of living or high standard of living, better educational facilities, employment opportunities, marriage purpose, health facilities, etc., etc. So after an industrial activity starts, urbanization follows. Urbanization, I mean the population in that town or city will increase. People from rural areas will migrate to urban areas. For the above reasons I told you, high standard of living, education facilities, health facilities, job facilities, marriage purpose, etc. Sometimes industries are located in or near the cities. Sometimes industries are located within the city or near the cities. And if that is there, then it causes some pollution. Water pollution, noise pollution, air pollution. So we have to follow all the safety measures to control all the 3 types of pollutions. Thus, industrialization and urbanization. Industrialization, I told urbanization. What is meant urbanization? That is increase in number of population in towns and cities. Urbanization or migration of people. Increase in the number of people in towns and cities is called urbanization. Or the migration of people from towns and cities. Migration of people from rural areas to urban areas is called urbanization. Now here another word is there, industrialization. What is meant by industrialization? Increase in the number of industries, or growth of more and more industries, or establishment of more and more industries is known as industrialization. Okay. Now, always you remember, students, industrialization and urbanization both go hand by hand, side by side. Always industrialization will move along with what? Urbanization. Wherever there is industrialization, there is urbanization. Wherever urbanization, there is industrialization. Both go side by side. Cities, I told you why most of the industries are located within the city and nearer to cities. Very simple, because cities provide better marketing facilities. Why most of the industries are located within the city or very close or nearby to the city areas? The reason is cities provide better marketing facilities for the goods. So cities provide markets and also provide services such as banking services, insurance services, transport facilities, availability of labor, consultants or consultancy or financial advice. All these facilities are also needed for the establishment of industry. So once again now we'll sum up. What are the favorable factors which are necessary for the establishment of industry or industrial location? The following are the factors that are necessary for the location of industry or industrial location. Number 1, that is availability of or nearness to the nearest to the raw materials or availability of cheap and abundant raw materials. Second one, nearness to the marketing centers, availability of cheap skilled and unskilled labor, availability of cheap power, availability of marketing facilities, availability of good network of transport facilities, availability of export and import facilities, availability of capital facilities, I mean banking facilities, availability of your insurance facilities, availability of consultancy facilities, availability of financial advice facilities. Wherever all these facilities are available, there only the industries are located. And I told you this growth of towns and cities is called urbanization, or migration of rural people to urban areas is called urbanization. Establishment of more and more industries is called industrialization. Industrialization and urbanization both are going side by side, hand in hand. Now, many industries tend to come together to make use of advantages offered by the urban centers known as agglomeration economies. Agglomeration, one new word to you. What is the meaning of the word agglomeration? Here, agglomeration means what? Towns. So many industries tend to come together to make use of the advantages offered by the urban centers known as agglomeration economies. Nowadays, the government is encouraging agglomeration economies. As a result, the industries are set up in those areas. Gradually, a large industrial agglomeration takes place. Now, in the pre-independence period, I mean before independence, most of our industries are located very close to the coastal areas, so that the transportation is easier possible from our country to foreign countries. I repeat, in the pre-independence period, most manufacturing units, I mean most of the industries or manufacturing units were located in places from the point of view of overseas trade, because at that time our trade was done with overseas, with other countries, other European countries. So most of the manufacturing units are located very close to the coastal areas. Before independence, this used to be happen, such as Mumbai, Kolkata, Madras. Okay, Mumbai, Kolkata, Madras are the three coastal states. Mumbai, Maharashtra, Kolkata, West Bengal, and Madras, that is Tamil Nadu. So these are coastal states, and these cities, in these cities, more and more industries were established at the time. Why? Because at that time we carried more overseas trade. That's why the industries are located in those areas. This was happened to be the trend to be before independence. Consequently, there emerged certain pockets of industrially developed urban centers surrounded by huge agriculture and rural hinterland. When Mumbai was developed, when in Mumbai more and more industries were set up, then entire Maharashtra was developed. I mean, when more and more industries were set up in Mumbai because of the overseas trade, the entire Maharashtra was developed. Similarly, when more and more industries were set up in Madras, present Chennai, then the entire Tamil Nadu was developed. Similarly, when more and more industries were set up in Kolkata, the entire West Bengal was developed. That means these three important cities acted as a nuclei center for the development of those industries. Here one new word came, hinterland, rural hinterland. Hinterland means what? The area behind the industry. The area behind the industry. Suppose one industry is there. The area behind the industry is called hinterland. So wherever rich hinterlands are there, there only industries will be established. That means a rich hinterland, rich rural hinterland. That means wherever more agriculture production is there, wherever more raw materials are available, wherever more minerals are available, there only industries will be established. So industries will be established wherever the hinterlands are very rich and productive. Here hinterland means what? The area behind the industries. Next, always there is a link between industry and market, or industry and market linkage. Let us see. In the textbook you see the picture. First, inputs. Here inputs means what? Raw materials. In any industry, first of all, we need what? Inputs. That means raw materials. So raw materials and other components, parts, these are needed. And these raw materials or inputs or parts are processed by four factors of production. That is land, labor, capital, organization. Land, labor, capital, organization. These are the factors of production. Land, labor, capital, organization. These land, labor, capital, organization are the four factors of production, and these four factors of production uses the raw materials or components of other parts, and they are processed at industry, and after processing, that's what gestation period. After processing, they'll do what? Production of goods. So here he has given inputs, raw materials and component parts. Then he has given factors of production: land, labor, capital, entrepreneur or infrastructure means facilities. Then these raw materials are carried to the areas of what? Industry, transport. Then in that industry or factory, all the process will take place. That's called gestation period process. After process, what will happen? Output will come. The raw materials will turn into what? Output. That means what? Products. And this output again, they are transported through the transportation to the market, and where these goods are sold to the consumers. Okay, these goods are sold to the consumers at marketplace, and the transaction takes place in the with the help of money. Now, the key decision: who will take a decision to establish an industry at a particular place? The entrepreneur, the organizer. The entrepreneur, I mean the head of the industry. It is the entrepreneur, the organizer will take the decision where to set up the industry. Depends upon the factors available there. The key to decision of the factory location is the least cost. Generally, an entrepreneur or an organizer will establish an industry in such place where the cost of production, the transport facility will be available at cheaper rate, least cost. And also government policies and specialized labor also influence the location of industry. Government policies, generally nowadays the government is encouraging the private people to come forward to establish industry in industrially backward areas. See, every person tries to establish industries within the cities or nearby the city areas. But nowadays, those areas are developed. But there are several other places where there is no industries. Has resulted in India what? Industrial imbalance or imbalanced industrial growth is taken place. Generally, industries are established in the within the cities or nearby the city areas. So those areas are developed, but there are many other areas which are still remain backward. So that led to what? Imbalanced industrial growth. That's why to achieve balanced industrial growth, the government is encouraging the private people to come forward, the private entrepreneurs to come forward and to establish industries in backward areas, industrial backward areas, so that the government will give some incentives to such entrepreneurs. I mean, land they are giving at least very less nominal lease. They are providing power at a nominal cost. They are providing water facility, etc. So in this way, when the water facility is provided, when the land lease is less, or there is no lease for 5 years like this, so entrepreneurs, people are coming and establishing the industries in the industrial backward areas. So those areas also getting what? Developed nowadays. So what I want to say, apart from the 7-8 factors I told you, raw materials, nearest to markets, export import facilities, power, skilled and unskilled labor, many things. Even government policies also are responsible for what? The location of industry. Now, ideal location of industry. Generally, which place is called the ideal location of industry? Wherever the cost of obtaining raw materials is at the site is very less. Wherever the cost of obtaining raw materials at the site is very less. Wherever the cost of production is very less, I mean where the labor is cheaply and abundantly available. Wherever the transport facilities are very less. Wherever the entrepreneurs are concentrated more. Wherever the government's policies are favorable for the entrepreneurs. So there only industries are located more. Now going to next our topic, that is classification of industries. It is nearly half an hour over, but let us see. Classification of industries. My dear students, today if you see, thousands of industries are there. Thousands and more than that. Number of industries are there. And if I ask you, tell all the names of industries, you may forget some industries. You will say sugar industry, timber industry, rubber industry, sports industry, beverage industry, iron steel industry, cement industry, chemical industry, like that. It goes on counting. 1,000 plus industries are there or more than that. You cannot classify all industries. You cannot read all industries because of large number. It is because of large number of industries you cannot classify, you cannot read them, you cannot write them easily. That's why it is better to classify these industries. Okay. So now we will see classification industry. Why we did classification industry? What is the need and necessity? On what basis the industries have been classified? Why there is a need and necessity for classification industry? And on what basis industries have been classified? Let us see. So first he is asking you one question. List the various manufactured products you use in a daily life. What are the products which are manufactured in the industries which you are using in your daily life? So many. Toothbrush, toothpaste, oil, spray, many things you are using. So list various manufactured products you use in a daily life, such as many are there. Transistor, which radio? Transistor radio, electric bulbs, vegetable oil, cement, glassware, petrol, matches, scooters, automobiles, medicines, many more things you are using in your daily life, which are manufactured in industries. If you classify the various industries based on the particular criteria, if we classify the various industries based on a particular criterion, then we would be able to understand their manufacturing better. Industries may be classified as follows. See, I mean, number of things we are using in our daily life which are manufactured in industries. So if we classify the industries based on any criteria, any method, then only it will be easy for understanding each industry in a better manner. Now let us see. I am classifying the industries. So first I am classifying the industries based on the basis of raw materials. Classification of industry on the basis of raw materials. So one question will be asked: how can you classify the industries based on raw materials? Or how many industries are there based on the classification of raw materials? One question. Answer. On the basis of source of raw materials. On the basis of source of raw materials, industries are classified into two types. I repeat, on the basis of source of raw materials. On the basis of source of raw materials, industries are classified into two categories. One is agro-based industries. Second is mineral-based industries. I repeat, on the basis of source of raw materials, industries are classified into two. They are agro-based industries. Second is mineral-based industries. Now, agro-based industries, example, cotton textile industry, woolen textile industry, jute textile industry, silk textile industry, rubber industry, sugar industry, tea industry, coffee industry, edible oil industry. All these industries comes under what? Agro-based. I mean, they are getting the raw materials directly from what? Agriculture. Cotton textile, woolen textile. Woolen means what? That mulberry leaves, silk. Woolen textile, jute, silk, silk textile, rubber, sugar, tea, coffee, edible oil. All these are what? Agro-based industries. Second one, mineral-based industries. Iron and steel industry, cement industry, aluminum industry, machine tool industry, petrochemical industry. These are what? Mineral-based industries. So on the basis of raw materials, industries are classified into two categories, namely agro-based industry and mineral-based industry, and I gave the example to you. Now, according to the main role, on the basis of the main role, industries are classified into how many types and what are they? On the basis of the main role, industries are classified into how many types and what are they? Answer. On the basis of the main role, industries are classified into two categories. One is basic or key industries. Second is consumer industries or consumer good industries. I repeat, into how many categories the industries are classified on the basis of their main role? Into how many types of industries the industries are classified on the basis of their main role? So on the basis of the main role, industries are classified into two categories. One is the basic or key industries. Basic or key industries both are one. Second is the consumer good industries. Consumer good industries. Now what are basic and key industries? This will be asked for you one more question. What are basic and key industries? Example. Basic and key industries are those industries. One more question. Basic and key industries are those industries which supply their products or raw materials to manufacturing other goods. I repeat, basic or key industries are those industries which supply their products or raw materials to manufacture other goods. Example, iron and steel, copper smelting, aluminum smelting, etc. These are not basic and key industries. Now second one, what are consumer good industries? Consumer good industries are those industries which produces goods which are meant for direct use, direct consume. Consumer good industries are those industries which produces goods which are meant for direct consumption. Example, sugar industry, toothpaste industry, paper industry, sewing machine industry, fan, ceiling fan industry, all. These are consumer goods, cosmetics, etc. etc. Now next one, into how many categories the industries are classified based on the capital investment? Based on the capital investment, I mean money, based on investment, based on capital investment or based on investment, industries are classified into how many types and what are they? On the basis of capital investment, industries are classified into what? Here, small scale industry. Next one, medium industries and large scale industry, 3. So based on the capital investment, 3, small scale, medium scale, large scale. Now what is small scale? A small scale industry is defined with reference to the maximum investment allowed on an asset of a unit. This limit has changed over the period of time. I mean, the limit will be changing according to time. At the present, the maximum investment allowed to the small scale industry is what? 1 crore. Those industries whose capital investment requires more than 1 crore, or I can say up to 1 crore, those industries which require up to 1 crore, I'm telling, up to 1 crore, those industries which require up to 1 crore of investment, that comes under what? Small scale industry. And those industries which require above 1 crore up to what? 5 crores. Those industries which require from 1 crore to up to 5 crores, that is called medium scale or medium scale industries. And those industries which needs more than 5 crore, that is called large scale industries. Next one. Your time is up. Tomorrow I'll take live session, students, and I'll continue the classical industry based on the ownership. This topic I'm stopping here. Tomorrow we'll continue this topic again. I'll take live classes. Fine, students. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.